in. Thanks for tuning in. Like the video as you guys come in. I appreciate you all for being here again. This is my second live for today. Just give me a minute. Trying to find myself also just to check my sound. Come on in. We're going to do the disclaimer. We're going to talk Cassie. Cassie took the stand, talked about her and Diddy's relationship, how at times she was uncomfortable, how he expected her to do XYZ, choices were made, and she was concerned about a lot. And it's a very, very serious situation. So we're going to talk Cassie, we're going to talk Diddy, and we're going to get into everything that happened. Okay. So just give me a second. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate everyone for tuning back in. We're going to get into what transpired regards to the two. Okay. So just give me a second. Thanks for tuning back in, everyone. And we're going to definitely get into my disclaimer. I always have to do my disclaimer. Some pages do, some pages don't, but I have to do mine to protect my page. So just give me 1 second. Okay, there I am. Just give me 1 second. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and do my disclaimer. We're going to talk Cassie. She did take the stand. We're going to get into what was said, her concerns, things she dealt with, people around Diddy. Yeah, and then there's the domestic violence number. That way, if you know of anyone that's dealing with this, you can take down that number. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. So we're going to get into the disclaimer. So I thank everyone for being here. I thank everyone for tuning in. My page is a little bit different. I do my disclaimers to protect myself. And, you know, can you guys hear me okay? Press 1 if you can hear me okay. Press 1 if you can hear me okay. Press 2 if I sound a little muffled. Press 2 if I sound a little muffled. Okay, we're going to get into what happened, what transpired in court. I'm back. I was literally about to run an errand, but I was like, let me go ahead and go live. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. I was going to go run an errand, but I said I might as well go ahead and do the Cassie thing. Thank you. Thank you. Be kind in the comments. Press 3 if you've been here before. Press 5. No, press 3. If you're new and where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're watching from. So thanks for being here, everyone. Let's get into what happened in court, what was said in court. People have different feelings about what Cassie said, but we understand that the situation she was in, the relationship she was in, a lot happened. A lot was promised, and some of those promises were not kept. People have, and don't be acting like, people have been in a situation where you were in a controlled relationship and you got out and you felt comfortable about getting out. So let's listen to a few different things and what Cassie went through. Hello, Australia. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let me know how you feel. Check on your mothers, check on your daughters, check and see if your friends are in a controlled situation if they're trying to get out. Okay, so that's holding. So let me go to a different one. Hold on 1 second. Thanks for being here, everyone. We're going to get into some videos. What was said in court, what happened in court. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. Let me know your thoughts, feelings. Everyone knows a young lady that's had some concerns in a relationship and being in a controlled relationship. So we're going to get to it.
And we have breaking news. Cassie Cassie Ventura is now on the stand in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend. Combs has pleaded not guilty. His attorneys argue the video is evidence of jealousy, not sex trafficking. And now for this first time, jurors are hearing what Cassie has to say about that and other aspects of their 10-year relationship. Let's bring in ABC's Rena Roy at the courthouse and Eva Pilgrim, anchor of ABC News Live's new daily show, Burden of Proof, the case against Diddy, for more. Rena, what's the latest from court?
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, "He would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down." She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to take she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony. Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there. Now, remember, this is the first time that they are seeing each other face to face since 2018. You can imagine that emotions are very high in the courtroom right now. And this is expected to be a very lengthy testimony. Prosecutors bracing the courtroom for what's to come as she continues to testify, including videos of these alleged freak-offs. Diane.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before, where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Let's continue with the video. Reaction clip.
And Eva, Cassie's expected to face a lot.
And I've said this before, Diddy's innocent till proven guilty. I wasn't there. I can't confirm or deny what happened, what transpired. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
Of questions. This is expected to be a long questioning from both the prosecution and the defense. What are you watching from both sides, given how critical her testimony is for this case?
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her
Thank you for subscribing,
giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm going to be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice, or did she feel like she had to do all of these things?
And I know they promised to take breaks in order to accommodate her throughout the course of this questioning. And I want to bring in our legal analyst, former trial attorney Terry Austin, for more, because Terry, what Cassie's describing here, right, how this whole thing started, she wanted to make her boyfriend happy, then talking about his violence against her. She says at some point blackmail materials came into play. How damning is this for the defense, and how do you expect them to counter this?
I think what the defense is going to say is that this wasn't blackmail, this was not coercion, this was consensual. We know that Cassie started out with Sean Combs as an early person with someone who is trying to get her career started, and he was going to help her. That's what the defense is going to say, that she was starting out and wanted someone to support her. They did their first record deal together. That's something I think the defense is going to focus on, and had it not been for Sean Combs, she wouldn't be where she is right now. The prosecution obviously is saying he was in control. It may have started out as a consensual, it may have started out with her being excited about seeing him, but ultimately he took control of that relationship. He took control of her career. This is their key witness, and she's on that stand trying to explain all of the charges that the prosecution wants to hit home with that jury.
And Eva, your new ABC News Live daily show, The Burden of Proof, the case against Diddy, airs nightly at 5:30 Eastern. What can we expect tonight?
I think it's the color in the courtroom. There's no cameras, there's no audio, so we can't see and hear for ourselves if you're not sitting in the courtroom. But
okay, the one thing you're going to notice on the stand, she talked about different cities and states of where they did these alleged situationships. I think that's very solid, and people saying if it was in regards to them traveling. I have to watch what I say. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip. And I think that's the main key, that they're saying where was the locations, and they did ask her that. Like the video, be kind in the comments. YouTube will block certain comments, so be kind in the comments. Thanks for being here. Like I said, innocent till proven guilty. I wasn't there. I don't know. So be kind in the comments. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're watching from. Thanks for tuning in. Let's continue.
Here at ABC have eyes and ears inside that courtroom.
Thanks for hitting the like.
The testimony, how the person delivered those statements, the reaction.
To hit the like, all you have to do is double tap the screen. To hit the like, all you have to do is double tap the screen if you're watching from a phone or a tablet.
Courtroom, Cassie's husband is going to be in that courtroom listening to her talk about all those things today. How does he respond to it? How does Diddy respond to it?
And it's the first time Diddy and Cassie have seen each other in several years.
Like 18 years, I believe, is the last time they saw each other, right? So that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Since 2018.
Since 2018. Sorry,
yeah,
yes,
2018.
2018 was the last time they saw each other. So, all of those things, what's that? What is there tension? The jury, what's the jury's response? They're going to be playing video in court today. Watch the jurors, see how they watch that video. Could they watch the video? We'll be able to have some of that color so people can hear exactly what's going on in the courtroom.
So interesting. All right, Rena Roy, Eva Pilgrim, Terry Austin, thank you.
So it's basically been 7 or 8 years since they saw each other. I'm wondering if that's around the time, RIP to Kim Porter. I'm wondering if that's around the time that they saw each other. Okay, let's get to the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Please like the video as you guys come in. Please subscribe to the page. Hold on.
Cassie Ventura is scheduled to take the stand.
And she did take the stand.
Joining the 5 this morning in Lower Manhattan with the graphic testimony by a male escort on day 1 of the trial. Briella, good morning to you. A lot to dissect.
Yeah, Gina, a lot happening yesterday. It was a quick-moving day. A lot of things taking place, in fact, before the noon lunch break. But after prosecutors wrapped up their opening statements, they told jurors to prepare to hear about nearly 3 decades of the defendant's crimes and more also about his inner circle who allegedly enabled him. We also heard from a publicist for Sean Diddy Combs who said that he is feeling optimistic considering his family is here to support him.
Upbeat, ready to have his side told in open court. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here.
Twin daughters all arrived at the courthouse yesterday
Thanks for
morning.
being
His
here.
children stepped out of a black van holding hands. Prosecutors called their first witness to the stand, Israel Flores. He's now an officer for the LAPD, but in March of 2016, he was assistant director of security at a Los Angeles hotel when he got a call that a woman was in distress on the 6th floor. That woman was R&B singer and Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Prosecutors showed jurors the now infamous video of Combs kicking and dragging Ventura down the hallway. Flores testified that he recorded the hotel's video of the attack on his cell phone.
Did y'all see how he just grabbed her just there?
A key piece of evidence. The second witness was a male escort named Daniel Phillip, who testified that...
Make sure you're kind in the comments. YouTube will block your comments, so be kind in the comments. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. And press 1 if you're watching from a phone. Press 1 if you're watching from a phone.
He was paid $700 to $6,000 to have sex with Ventura while Combs watched and gave instructions, with the very first encounter happening in 2012. Phillip told jurors he stopped participating after he saw Combs throw a bottle at Ventura and then drag her by her hair into a bedroom as she screamed, saying he...
Please double tap the screen so that way you can please hit the like button. Please double tap the screen to get the likes up, everyone, and thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for already subscribed, and thank you for already hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Too feared for his life. As Phillip went into the details, Combs' daughters left the courtroom twice during the most graphic moments. Singer-songwriter Jaguar Wright said she came here to support the victims and briefly spoke outside the federal courthouse yesterday.
We have to remember there are real survivors, like Natanya Rubin. This is why I'm here.
And before court finished for the day, the judge reminded the jurors, by the way, who are 8 men and 4 women that will all remain anonymous, to not speak about this case once they left. And court resumes at 9 o'clock this morning with cross-examination of Phillip first, followed by Ventura's testimony. For now, we're live here in Lower Manhattan. Gina, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Briella Tomasetti there with Fox 5 New York. Briella, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. And as we further dissect the very latest of this case, again, if you're just now tuning in, today is day 2 of testimony in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. This morning, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, is scheduled to take the stand. Right now, we want to bring into the conversation none other than former Miami-Dade State Attorney and now criminal defense attorney, David Seltzer. David, good morning to you. A pleasure to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, David, set the scene for us. What does this testimony from Cassie Ventura mean in this trial? For many people, when they hear that name related to Sean Diddy Combs, it takes them back to that graphic day when that surveillance footage was released of Cassie being dragged in that hotel hallway.
So the surveillance footage in Cassie's testimony means a lot to a lot of different people. What we have to remember is we're here in a criminal trial, and the government has the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. What that means is it's almost the highest level of proof that any court can impose. So her testimony has to prove the elements of the crime. I don't know if the government's going to get there. We don't know all the evidence in the case. We're getting bits and pieces of what was released and what we're hearing through the media. So she has to testify that for the government that they meet the elements to prove racketeering. So far, what we know and what we can see is that domestic violence is prevalent in this trial. That doesn't rise to the level of a federal crime or racketeering in and of itself. So the government's going to try and put all of the testimony together with a pretty bow to prove to the jury that they can meet the elements of racketeering. It's a very tough road they have to get to.
David, so many great points you just made, and I love to further dissect them. So when we talk about the very latest of domestic violence, obviously we think back to the #MeToo movement, and many people made an example because they were found guilty of sexual violence, even domestic violence. Do you think that the jury, if elements are found to be true, if enough evidence is brought forth, that they will want to make an example of Sean Diddy Combs? We know this coming on the heels of that testimony yesterday from that male escort, and some of the things that we're hearing, David, just truly graphic.
Be kind in the comments. Be kind in the comments. People will get timed out. I don't do weird stuff. Be kind in the comments. Be kind. We're over here. Some people are learning some things. There's been a lot of things that has transpired in regards to this case. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you'll know when I'm live. Yes, press 1 if you are watching from a phone or tablet. Just press 1 to hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Yes, they are. And unfortunately, though, that in and of itself isn't a crime. Sex consent is not a crime. Baby oil is not a crime. Everything we are hearing are
Thank you.
crimes. And again, we got to remember we're in federal court for racketeering charges and sex trafficking. Having a male escort, albeit maybe a crime.
You can make any comment. He's innocent till proven guilty. I wasn't there. I don't know. That's why we are covering any and everything we can to know what's happening. A judge, jury's going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing. It's not my job. It's not my job. I just cover what's being said. Welcome, South Africa. Thanks for being here, everyone.
In certain jurisdictions, again, in and of itself, sex is consensual, is not a crime. The issue that they're having to figure out is how they're going to get around this. And again, when you tell a jury that you talked about earlier to put yourself in a bubble when they leave, that's a very difficult task for a jury to overcome.
Yeah, not only difficult, realistically, we don't know if they'll be able to do that when you think about the media attention surrounding this case before it even went to trial, before jury selection even started. Do you think Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys do have a lot of hassle as it relates to the media attention that's been surrounded by this case? Also want to ask you, we're hearing that term burden of proof. How does that relate to this?
So the burden of proof is what the government has to meet. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. It's almost a reasonable certainty that this crime occurred. And what the defense is going to try and do is take the evidence, and they've already started their opening statements, as you heard Ms. Garrigo say, that baby oil is not a crime. They have to meet every element to prove this case. If they don't get to that, they fail their burden, and the jury must find him not guilty. Going back to your question about the media, that is prevalent throughout this whole case, not only for jury selection, but for the jurors and how they assess the credibility of the witnesses. How do they determine?
And many people probably did not know, Cassie's almost 9 months pregnant. She is basically due sometime this month, I'm hearing, allege. They talked about the relationship. They talked about what was expected. They talked about how he wanted her to do XYZ. They talked about during the trial, if Diddy didn't like what was said or done, he would take her phone, take her computers, take her phone, take her car. He would take different things away from Cassie if he wasn't happy with something. Either he would take it or his security would take it or other people would take things from Cassie. So it was definitely a controlled environment. A controlled situation. And they talked about things that they would take to be lucid and not, normal thinking. I have to watch what I say. So let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before where you're watching from. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification. Let's continue.
Whether I
fair use reaction clip.
May or not be, or she may or not be a celebrity. And so the credibility of the witnesses that is key here and at stake to the determination of guilt. But going back to the jury selection, I don't believe the jury is going to, what I'm saying, self-sequester themselves for 8 to 10 weeks. I don't know how people live in a bubble these days, given all the media attention. You're telling people they can't talk to their loved ones, can't touch a phone, can't look at the computer. I mean, sitting on a subway next to someone home, someone could be talking about the trial, and then they have to report that to the judge, and then they're excluded. So they run out of alternates very quickly here.
Yeah, that's true.
David Seltzer, truly a pleasure having you join us on live now from Fox to break down the very latest of this trending case. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go? Anything?
That is interesting. Some of the jurors, if they're hearing people talk on a train, they would have to exclude themselves. Let's get to the next clip. She left the relationship quite a few times, I'm hearing. Now, how many times exactly, I don't know. But this was definitely a relationship that everyone's talking about. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification. We're going to hit 36 sometime this week. 36K. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Stand. Now, unfortunately, in this case, in a federal case, there are no cameras. As I speak right now, Cassandra Ventura has taken the stand. Now, unfortunately, in this case, in a federal case, there are no cameras in the courtroom.
No cameras.
There is no audio in the courtroom. But we are going to do our best to report to you in real time what is happening with her testimony and analyzing her testimony in real time. And we're going to also be taking your questions about this testimony, about the case in general, as it progresses. So if you have a question, submit it on YouTube. We will answer it here on air. I'm not going to do it alone. I have with me here.
So we're going to hear what happened step by step, allegedly, that what happened in the courthouse. Like the video, continue listening. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Hello, Paris. How are you? How are you, girl? Yes. YouTube is giving me the flux, girl, over a short I did in regards to Simone Biles. Baby, I'm still working though. I really wanted to tell you then, but that's what's happened. It was a short regarding Simone Biles. Missed you, girl. I've been working hard though, trying to get everything back to the get back, but I still been going at it because I need to maintain those views. The videos yesterday and today, Paris, was so good. And that's because I maintained my shorts. If I wasn't still doing those shorts, Paris, if everyone's wondering who's Paris, Paris has been my day one from the beginning when we were at 3,000 subscribers. Paris, we're now at 35, almost 36K. So we've been doing good, but it's been the shorts that's been keeping me going. The numbers are still numbering. Yep. Yeah, I wanted to tell you then, but I was hoping that it would get fixed. And see, this is the other thing. I have different tablets. I have a lot of stuff going on. You know that. It only allowed me like a day to try and fix it. But it was like, okay. And then it was giving me like my password wouldn't go through. So then the next day it was over. I didn't really get any kind of major notification that this was happening. I deleted the video, or they deleted the video, but then they still did what they did. So when I noticed it, it was like, oh my goodness, let me figure this out. And then I was trying to figure out passwords, and then it was like, it happened. Yeah, so it's all good though. The shorts have kept my page going live. So numbers, yesterday was extremely good. I was up there with some of the top big ones. But I did a lot of stuff today to figure some stuff out. So I just wanted to let you know. Thanks for being here, Paris. I went live twice yesterday, and this is my second time today. But I still been doing my shorts. But yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, everyone, let's continue with I just had to update with Paris. Everyone say hello to Paris. She is my mod. So Paris has access, but YouTube has been blocking you guys' comments. So be careful in the comments. We're going to get back to what happened on the stand. While I was running errands, I was listening to somebody that was talking about Cassie in the courtroom, how her situation was with DIDDY, how, he expected her to do XYZ, how she became uncomfortable with different situations. But let's continue.
Studio.
Fair use. Reaction clip. Yes, nightmare.
Rich, thanks for jumping here so quickly. Really appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Big day in this trial.
This is a big day because she is victim number one in this case. I think it would be fair to say we probably wouldn't have criminal charges. If
you've been listening? Okay.
Filing her lawsuit in November of 2023. We all know that the videotape of her purportedly being beaten by Sean Combs in 2016 changed the course of this entire legal saga. It came up a lot yesterday. She came up a lot yesterday. And now her testifying for the prosecution. I think a fair argument is this case either rises or falls with her testimony. So what has she testified to so far? Well, first of all, she's quite pregnant. She's about 8.5 months, 9 months pregnant. She's 38 years old. She explained that she was with Sean Combs for 10 years. We're talking about a 17-year age difference. She admitted that during the course of their relationship, he introduced her to certain sex acts. She asked to describe the relationship she had with him. Quote, there were violent arguments that would usually result in some sort of physical abuse, dragging, different things of that nature. Again, why is this important? He's charged with sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. He's charged with racketeering conspiracy, a criminal enterprise, underlying crimes like sex trafficking, kidnapping, arson,
17 years age difference,
and also transporting sex workers for purposes of prostitution. She went on to say that he would stomp her in the head if she was down. There was frequent violence. She would have black eyes. She would have bruises. She was asked by the prosecution to describe what a freak-off was. And she said, quote, it basically entails the hiring of an escort and setting up this experience so that I could perform for Sean. It involved Combs being able to watch with me, the other person, and actually direct us on what we were doing. Eventually, it became a job for me, pretty much. By the way, this comes after.
Yeah, Cassie felt that it became a job. And then sometimes it would go on and on for days. Like the video, like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Fair use reaction clip.
Testimony of a male performer who says he was hired by Cassandra Ventura and Sean Combs to have sex with Cassie in front of Sean Combs. She described how their relationship was quite complex, talking about these freak-offs. When she was first introduced to them, she says, I was confused, nervous, but also loved him very much. She explained how Sean Combs ultimately controlled a lot of her life. She talked about blackmail materials, so videos that Combs purportedly shot of her.
And let me ask y'all, Paris, especially you, do you think that Diddy made her feel this is the swinger life and this is what people are doing in the industry? This is what a lot of your friends are doing, we're doing, but let me allow you to, and let me help you control the environment? You got to realize, you guys, over the last 20 years, we've been hearing swingers, swingers, swingers. Everybody's partying. That book came out. You know what I'm saying? So did she think that that's the lifestyle of Hollywood, Hollyweird? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
During these sexual encounters, she was concerned that they would be public.
Oh, I'm going to keep talking. I talk over here because this is reaction page. I have to stop it, play it, because I'm not about to get flagged. Hello.
They would be released. Quote, he had many resources to do that. She was shown the 2016 video of that hallway attack, as I mentioned. She confirmed it was after a freak-off, which is important, because while the defense would say this is an unfortunate incident of domestic violence, and domestic violence is not sex trafficking, she has confirmed that this was after a freak-off. This was in furtherance of sex trafficking. She says she was afraid that if she said no to him, it would make him angry. So again, we're going to get more of her testimony in real time. So far, Rich, from what I've said, what are you taking away from her testimony?
Well, obviously, this is a horrendous relationship, and she's suffered a lot. I think the defense is arguing, in essence, that she was a consensual, willing participant in this relationship. It was a 10-year relationship. It had ups and downs, and the defense is arguing that some of the things she argues now she was forced to do, she did willingly and perhaps even enjoyed at the time. So that's what we're getting at. But this is really shocking stuff for a jury to have to hear all of this, and I think see some of it is coming up.
Don't you think that there is a potential problem for the prosecution? Because we heard it was funny. We have a question from TDB. Jesse, does the male dancer's testimony about Cassie contradict the prosecution's opening statement? Now, he had testified that he thought he heard Sean Combs slapping her, that there were instances where he saw him dragging her, but at the same time, he was getting paid by her. He was texting her. She was participating in these freak-offs. You wonder, this case is a thin line. Was it coercion or not? Was she a victim or partner in this? Do you think when you hear the testimony of that male dancer and you hear her testimony now, it'll be difficult for the jury to believe that everything was coerced and against her will?
I don't think the jury is going to believe that everything was coerced and against her will at the time, but it doesn't have to. There's a massive power imbalance here. So even if she willingly participated for parts of this relationship, he has all of the power and he's using it. And the one thing you mentioned, I wrote down, blackmail video.
Yes, I agree. Could not imagine what the mindset is for the jury. The mindset for the jury and his family. Now, did you guys notice, because I've been so busy, did you guys notice if his whole family came again today? I know most of the people came yesterday. The daughters, the sons, the mother, some of the baby mamas came. Did a lot of the daughters come today in court? Let me know in comments, you guys. Fair use reaction clip.
That stuff's really important to the case, right? This is carrot and stick territory, but he kept, allegedly, things like these videos to keep people in line. And the allegation here is if she sort of got a little bit antsy about how the relationship was going, he would threaten to release videos that would destroy any chance of her having a career.
The defense would say the only person that was in possession of the videos was Cassandra Ventura. That's a point that they made yesterday.
That's an evidentiary point. I don't know the answer to that.
Let me ask you this. We have a question from Lauren.
Okay, let me go back because I did hear that he kept a lot of the tapes in his safe. Sometimes she would go into the safe to get money. So I did hear that. He maintained most of the tapes. And you figure they had a relationship. If she didn't do XYZ, he would take her laptop, take her phone, take the car. So it was definitely a controlled situation. And like someone said, she could have got blacklisted. So you figure we're hearing when certain people were in the streets, Diddy would, do what he have to do to go try and meet up with people in the street. When he would find out, find out that Cassie wanted to talk to somebody else, what did he do? There was a lot that was happening here, y'all. Very serious allegations. Like I said, allegations. Diddy's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. Not my job to figure out what the judge or jury is going to do. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
It has this cute little emoji, smiley face with the hearts. I like it. It's nice. I have a question. Do you think now that the prosecution has played their ace with Cassie, that they have more damning evidence to come?
I would expect so, because when you're prosecuting a case like this, you want to start strong. And I think some of the idea of putting her on in day 2 of this trial is to start strong. They put on a little corroborating testimony first, right, from this dancer, escort, whatever you want to call him. And now they have her, security guard, and they get to show the video, that horrible video. And now she testifies. But it can't be the prosecution's plan to try this case that now they're just going to wind their way through some other inconsequential witnesses. I mean, they have 2 more victims, as I understand it.
Well, let's talk about this. The practical reality is, A, they need to get her on the stand before she gives birth. Okay.
Well, that's true too. That's true. Good point.
Yeah, because victim 3 is nowhere to be found. So to make sure that victim 1 is still available. But also, I agree that they started very strong with corroborating evidence before they brought her on. Because what happened?
Like the video. Hold on. Hello, everyone. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. Let me know what you think about day 1, and let me know what you think about day 2. Did his family attend when Cassie was to testify?
Lawsuit in November of 2023 made these wild allegations. I think people said, how do we know this is true or not? As soon as that video was released by CNN, the whole game changed, because people not only believed that particular incident in the complaint, they believed overall all the allegations that she made. It seems the prosecution is doing just that. Now, it's interesting thinking about this. By the way, I'm going to get more updates about her testimony. So right now, Ventura said, I thought we were monogamous. The prosecutor asked, was it made public? No, I was his artist. Also, his family, his children, meaning their relationship wasn't public yet. Who is linked to him publicly?
Yes, that's what I heard. Victim 3 is nowhere to be found. But then TMZ was saying victim 3 didn't want to testify anyway. So who are we to believe? Most media is reporting they're nowhere to be found. So what does that mean? Were they paid off? Or is it similar to the Tory Lanez case? They're going to resurface once a certain part has already been passed. And then it'd be like, oh, I resurfaced. It's too late for you to speak now. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to watch that play. Remember the Tory Lanez situation? His driver, his bodyguard or security was MIA for days. And then all of a sudden they wouldn't let him speak. They should have let him speak. Then he came up with a statement 8 months, a year later. So we got to watch the play regarding that. And I think they did drop a name in regards to who victim 3 was. So are they MIA because they want to be, or are they MIA because they were paid? We're going to watch the play, and we're going to watch that play out, Paris, for sure. Fair use reaction clip.
Importer, Miss Ventura responds. How did Sean treat you at this time? We had fun. So a lot of this is talking about the beginnings.
Yes, very interesting.
She has to concede some points, right? She can't just say, it was a disaster at the very beginning. I hated him from the very beginning. I was under a distress from the very beginning. There has to be an aspect to it where she explains, no, I started this relationship. I was young. I was excited, but then it devolved, right? In order to be credible on the stand about the story, I think.
I agree with that. And also to acknowledge that there were benefits to her of being in this relationship. It would, at least in theory, help her career. It would get her to meet people that she otherwise wouldn't have been able to meet. So all of that is true. There's nothing wrong with her conceding that, because none of that justifies being dragged down a hallway and beaten.
Exactly. And by the way, we jumped on here on air immediately as soon as we found out that Cassandra Ventura was officially taking the stand. And one thing that makes Law and Crime a little bit different than other outlets like that is our viewers not only do we value our viewers, but we are making content right now purely for our viewers on YouTube. We want to give you the most up-to-date information about this case in real time.
Yeah, victim 3, MIA, is concerning. MIA because they want to be MIA because it will collaborate with Cassie. If they're victim 3, listen, pay attention. Cassie is alleged speaking. They're to speak after Cassie, so that would collaborate with Cassie is saying. You understand what I'm saying? So you really have to pay attention of what's happening, what's being said, and what the expectation is. Are they really missing? Or are they MIA, or were they paid to not speak? That's the question, because they were to speak after Cassie. Watch the play. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
And again, we are the only channel, the only news organization that is producing content for you specifically. We value that. YouTube
Law Crimes is so good.
The most hard cutting edge news is coming from, and we want to get it out to you as quickly as possible. So thank you so much.
Because I can't confirm or deny paid or MIA.
For a while now, because she's going to be on the stand. So let's keep it going. Again, thank you to our YouTube audience. Jane, are there any more witnesses to Cassie getting attacked by Diddy apart from the bodyguard? I mean, I don't know. I would imagine so.
Yeah, I don't know either. There's a videotape, so that's kind of a witness. But yes, I would imagine there are other witnesses who are going to talk about the relationship and probably talk about some of the physical stuff.
Well, they mentioned chiefs of staff. They mentioned a chef. They mentioned one of the questions from the defense yesterday was, how is this a conspiracy, right? For a conspiracy, you need 2 or more people to agree. Who are the people that coordinated and facilitated this racketeering and sex trafficking operation are not criminally charged?
So I see 2 major hurdles for the prosecution in this case. One is what we've been talking about. They have to get past the idea that this is consensual behavior by other people who are behaving in a questionable fashion. They have to get past that. The second...
Okay, y'all also got to realize alleged victim 3 is not answering. Alleged neither is her attorney. So watch that play. The attorney allegedly is not cooperating either. Allege. Can't confirm or deny, but it's being alleged. They're MIA and the attorney doesn't want to return phone calls either. Okay, so that's what's being alleged. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Bigger hurdle to me is turning an abuse case into a racketeering case, right? Because yes, they have to prove RICO is very challenging. You have to prove a RICO enterprise. You have to prove a pattern of racketeering activity. You have to prove multiple predicate acts that are violations of separate federal laws. It is hard to sustain a RICO case. We've seen some other cases where people have tried. That's going to be a major hurdle here. The fact that he had this 10-year relationship, and even if it's arguably true, he took advantage of her, he treated her horribly, he beat her, he did all these terrible things to her. That's not racketeering.
I say that the prosecution spent so much time yesterday in their opening statement trying to explain to this jury why it's a crime. Because it's not a garden variety trafficking or racketeering case. And I think the more they have to explain it, that's a problem for them. I think it's a weakness in their case, personally. Now we have an update from court. Prosecutor asked Cassandra Ventura, what was his lifestyle like? Ventura responds, he had all these assistants. He get things done. He traveled quite a bit. And then apparently she's shown a photo, and she says, this is Sean and I at a strip club in New York, like 2007, 2008, Halloween. How did Sean Combs' moods vary? Day to day. Now, look, he is charged with specific crimes that John Smith on the street can't meet. There is an argument here, very powerful, had all these businesses, different resources, different employees. He would be in the position to be able to carry out a sex trafficking or racketeering operation. That's what makes him unique, though.
Sure, but is that what he's doing? Is he running an entertainment and fashion industry, or is he running essentially a criminal organization?
By the way, we have a poll up right now. You can participate in it. Do you think Cassie Ventura was a victim or partner in this?
Do you think she was a victim or a partner?
Well, this doesn't make sense. 82% say yes. I don't know if that's yes. I think we need clarification. 82% say victim or partner. We'll get a clarification on that.
By the way, that's my answer to that question. Okay.
Let me know in the comments. Do you think Cassie was a victim? Put victim. Or do you think she was a partner? Or do you think in the beginning, a lot of people were saying swingers back in the day. Do you think she became tired of it and just did not want to do it anymore? Victim or partner? Let me know in the comments. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
82% say victim. 82% say victim. Maybe based on what we're reporting on the testimony right now.
I mean, I think she is a victim if the allegations are true, but also she is involved in some of the criminal act. I mean, she's getting those prostitutes, right? She's making payments to them. Allegedly, she's
payments to them, but with who money? Let's be very clear. When they say stuff like that, I need to know where that money's coming from. Because remember, he controlled everything. Was she making money from singing? Was she making money? Oh, and she had to get approval if she wanted to do appearances. Diddy had to approve her appearances. So was she utilizing her own money or his money? Like the video, you guys. Press 1 if you're watching from a phone. Continue to double tap that screen, please, to hit the like button. Continue to tap the screen to hit the like button. Thank you. She got a holder and she... It was getting out of control, because if it was going on for days and days and days and not having an umbrella, I have to watch what I say. Hello. And then medical stuff to be released on him or her, and possibly anybody else, allegedly, that may take the stand. Have you noticed that they want to not talk about any medical issues that anybody's having? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Let me know in the comments still, partner or victim.
Having them come, so she's involved in some of the alleged criminal activity. And that's an interesting point that wouldn't just apply to her. People in his orbit might be some combination of victim and co-conspirator.
But you know what? That video changes everything, because the argument would be, what do you think happens if she says no? What do you think happens if she says, I'm not in the mood for a freak off tonight. I'm not going to pay the dancer. That's what's going to happen. That video is arguably the most important piece of evidence, because it sets the stage when we're talking about coercion or fraud or force.
And in the conversation of her taking the stand, she did send him messages that she wasn't interested in that for today. She was basically sending Diddy messages, I just want to be with you today. And then he would be like, well, now you're acting funny. So he would try and coerce her into doing the freak offs. Okay, so let's be very clear. It was both. She was like, no, I don't feel like it. But then he would try and coerce her and change her mind into doing things. So let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Question from Angelina. How old was Cassie when they first started dating? I think she was 19 years old. So you're talking about a 17-year age difference. That's important. I think that's an important factor if you're talking about power and control, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that he's older and obviously has much more power anyway.
19.
Sherry Williams asks, what kind of time is Diddy facing if he's found guilty? Do you want me to, I have it listed unless you want me to answer that one.
I would say life in prison, but you can tell me specifically.
So this is exactly what he'd be facing. So if he's convicted of 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, I pulled this up because I figured people might be curious. If he is convicted of racketeering conspiracy, the top charge, that is a maximum sentence of life in prison. You know what the minimum is for that? Well, okay, so that's life in prison. Maximum sentence for sex trafficking, life in prison. You know what the minimum is for sex trafficking? 15 years in prison. And then the transportation for purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Rich, I have to tell you, I don't know about racketeering. I don't know about sex trafficking, if he's going to be convicted of those. I am fairly confident he's going to be convicted of allegedly transporting sex workers with the intent that they engage in prostitution. Their argument, as far as I understood yesterday, their defense yesterday was he hired people for their time and experience.
Let me tell you something. If he gets out of this trial only convicted of transporting for prostitution, that is a defense victory. They would take that in a heartbeat, I bet.
Because I think if he is convicted of that, he might not get 10 years. He might get, a shorter amount and time served this time already in the MDC. I don't know, but it wouldn't be life in prison. Would it be 15 years?
Yeah, he might not get full 10 years. He might not get the hardest prison term, the hardest prison life, right? He would get out. He would still have a life. He would still have his enterprise. So I think that would actually be a defense victory, all things considered.
So we have an update from court. I think
hello. Good afternoon.
Abuse was like. She talks about anger, zoning out. She was asked, how did this impact you? She says, greatly. The next thing I knew, I was getting hit in the face. She also apparently talks about psychological abuse. He'd tell me to watch my mouth, change my face. So, I do wonder, that has a strong impact.
Y'all see how he pulled her close?
That we're covering right now. It's the Alexander brothers. And they're being charged with sex trafficking. And the argument you hear from defense attorneys is this is a very novel way to charge individuals. That if you're talking about romantic relationships or girlfriends or flings, and you're taking them on trips, you're paying for their meals, you're buying them gifts, maybe you're promising things, romantic gestures.
Hello,
now
UK.
In a position where romantic relationships are just on the line of sex trafficking, or where does it differ?
Well, here he is allegedly bringing in prostitutes to participate in these freak-offs and paying them for sexual services. So that to me would clearly be sex trafficking if it's true. It's not just about the girlfriend. It's not just about the
Watch how he
relationship.
pulls her
It's about
clothes.
these sex
Watch.
workers that he is moving about.
We have a question from Trune. What about
See?
male victims? Seems like this case is solely based on women victims.
This case appears to be based on women victims. I mean, I've heard speculation too about male victims. I don't know where that stands.
Well, there's lawsuits. There's a lot of lawsuits that have been filed by male victims, and I wonder, do you think that was intentional for the prosecution to not include those in this case? I mean, why weren't minor victims? Let me say this. He has been accused in lawsuits of abusing minors. Okay, allegations, accusations. Okay, never been criminally charged. If you're the prosecution and you want a slam dunk case against Sean Combs and you want justice for all of the alleged federal crimes he committed, you know, the problem with a minor victim for a defendant like that is there's no consent defense anymore. Do you think it's like we want to be as specific as possible with these charges? We don't want to make this case overly broad. The bigger it becomes, the more risk it'll fall down. Thoughts?
I don't buy that. I think the prosecution wanted as many victims as it could get, but I think the prosecution had to scrutinize every potential victim to, first of all, are they going to show up, right? We have an issue with one of the three, whether or not they're going to show up. So they had to scrutinize that. And also, how are their claims? How are they going to be on cross-examination? How is it going to play? They wanted multiple victims. The only way this case is what it is because there are multiple victims. This is not a RICO case if it's just what he did to one person, no matter how horrible it was. That doesn't get you to racketeering. So he needs them. They need the multiple victims.
And that brings up a good question I have. If you read the indictment, let me just phrase that. There's been many superseding indictments.
Yeah.
It says alleged victims, right? Alleged victim 1, 2, 3, 4. But then it says victims including, like victims, many victims including alleged victim 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that mean we're going to hear other people who are not enumerated as one of the alleged victims, but are just other victims in the case? Because I don't.
It could be. They could bring people who are other victims in the case, especially the way the case is pled, the way the case is being tried. Now, they would have had to tell the defense by now who those potential witnesses are, and I assume, well, I don't know if we would have heard about it in this particular. Usually you would have heard about it. You would see it on the docket, but I don't know.
So talking about this alleged criminal enterprise and how, based on the opening statement from yesterday, he didn't just have staff who were helping him commit the crimes, but also covering them up. Just now, an update from court. Prosecutor asks Cassie,
update from court.
How would he keep tabs on you? To which she apparently responds, he didn't live far apart. Oh, we didn't live far apart. He'd send security to come find me or a trusted assistant. Like who? David James, Christina Courtroom, who we all know has been a central figure in this case. Maybe not the criminal case, but she's come up in lawsuits before. The prosecutor asks her, was your relationship exclusive? Ventura replies, no. If she's naming names like David James or Christina Courtroom, do they have to testify, you think?
I don't think they have to testify, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I would think this is all planned out, that she's going to indicate some people, and then the prosecution is going to bring them in later in the trial to verify, right? One thing you really want to do with a witness like this, the defense is going to say that she's embellishing. They might say she's lying, but that's going to be a little hard to do with that video, right? They can't just say she's a liar, but they're going to say she's exaggerating, she's embellishing, they're painting it a certain way because of the case. So you have to bring in these corroborating witnesses and whatever other corroborating evidence you have to verify what it is she's saying. So it would be very useful, for example, if she says, yes, David James came around to check on me on behalf of Mr. Combs, and then David James takes the stand and says, yes, I did that. Yeah. It would be helpful.
Well, yesterday they talked about the defense, her lawsuit in 2023, her attorney being in the courtroom, that she has an incentive, a monetary incentive to fabricate this situation. Got a question from...
Continue to like the video, you guys. Hold on. Let's let the commercial go past. Continue to like the video. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. We're listening to their statements and what's happening in court.
Questions on YouTube about this case, about Sandra Ventura's testimony that's happening in real time. We're trying to update you as quickly as possible about what she says in that courtroom. No cameras in the courtroom, no audio in the courtroom. So this is the best we can do to bring you her testimony in real time. Question from Daniela, 3984, talking about the video. What version of the hotel video was played in the courtroom? Was it the sped up version? Now, I believe it was portions of the surveillance video, not the CNN video, and cell phone video that was taken by the security guard who testified, Israel Flores. He apparently taken a cell phone video of the surveillance footage to show his wife, but that became a big pretrial issue about what the jury was going to see.
Yeah, and by the way, that story was a little odd. I took a video of it to show my wife For what purpose? I mean, that was a little strange.
Well, like, you're not going to believe this happened, even though you didn't report it to the police.
I think it's going to be difficult. I think the defense would like you to believe that video has been doctored somehow, but I think they're going to have trouble sustaining that.
Hey, would you like a civil law question?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is our litigator here. Question from Teodora Bodorova. Can Cassie sue Diddy again if Diddy's found guilty as charged?
So, Cassie,
good
if
question.
you remember, sued Diddy. And that was the first thing we really heard about this. That was before the video. There was this blockbuster lawsuit in November of 2023 that really put these allegations out there. And she was very detailed. In fact, the front page of her lawsuit had a trigger warning on it. It was so detailed. That case was settled the next day. And I would have to think that the settlement included an agreement that she wouldn't sue him again for anything. Usually, if you're going to settle like that and pay the kind of money she would have gotten paid for settling that lawsuit, you get what is known as a general release. And a general release means you don't sue me for anything that happened. Now, here's one caveat. Up to the date of this agreement. Up to the date of this agreement. So then if you the next day punch me in the face, I have a new lawsuit against you.
Yeah.
Right? But at least up to the agreement, she can't go back now and say, I want more money.
Well, for the same conduct, right? I mean, if he comes out, he did something to her, or allegedly did something to her after the agreement was signed.
Yeah. Presumably they got it. And it also, like, you have to make sure the release covers all of his companies, all of these other individuals who were involved. It has to be a general release of everybody. You don't want to leave any wiggle room to have a lawsuit.
We have a follow-up question to this from Fads. So why did he...
Yes, let's definitely get the likes to 100. If you're watching from a phone, please double tap the screen and hit 1 to hit the like button. Let's continue.
Settle if he was innocent.
Fair use reaction clip.
I mean, people settle all the time when they think they're not liable. People, like, the thing that really surprised me when that case was filed is that the case was filed. Typically in a case like that, you draft the complaint and you send it to the defendant. And you say, dear sir, please pay me a boatload of money.
Thank you.
Or I'm going to file this publicly in court. And if there's any merit to it, or if just for publicity reasons, the defendant decides to negotiate and pay it, it never goes to court. So it fascinated me at the time that she actually filed that publicly and he settled
Hello,
it the next day.
Hello, Texas. One of my favorites.
That he didn't put up any fight on the lawsuit. He didn't even want to litigate it. He didn't even want to go to discovery. He wanted to settle it immediately.
And if he would have settled it before she filed it, I think we would have been in a very different position than we are today.
Oh, I totally agree, because that lawsuit, I think, is what sets this ship sailing.
I agree. Okay, update from court.
Hello,
Prosecutor
Colorado.
Asks Sandra Ventura, did you see other men?
Hello.
Ventura responds, yes. Prosecutor asks, did Sean see other women? Ventura responds, yes. He said, I am Puff Daddy. I was insanely jealous. Did you move to LA with him? Yes. He wanted to be close to his kids who were there. It goes to a theme from yesterday, where the defense owned up and said, yeah, he's jealous, he's angry, he's violent. He engaged in domestic violence. That 2016 video is indefensible. When you hear her testify like that,
compliment.
Does it help the defense? Does it help the prosecution? Because the defense got in front of it. They didn't say he's a saint.
Well, it helps the prosecution, but the defense did the correct thing.
Yeah, they got in front of it trying to say, well, this is how he is, and this is how he is, and let's get in front of it. But the action, the videos, and the concerns are still there. So y'all got to watch the play. And then y'all got to watch the play of how they treat the people on the stand. How they ask the question, how they treat the people on the stand. They're going to try and make them look like they're at fault and they did something wrong. Are you crazy? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Opening statement, and they had to do it. They didn't have any choice. I mean, the defense couldn't walk into this trial and say he's the victim of a conspiracy to invent evidence against him. That was never going to work. The thing's on video, and there's lots of other evidence. So they were going to have to say he is not a delightful guy. You people on the jury probably aren't going to like things that he did. He did engage in things we consider domestic violence, but this is a racketeering case. And I liked that about the opening statement. They made that very clear. You're going to have to judge the crimes alleged here, not whether you like him or dislike him.
Yep.
JTC Panic Proof Retirement. This guy is killing me.
So how do you guys feel about Cassie having to take the stand, about the relationship? Okay, we're about to get to this. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Well, like the video as you guys come in. Like the video. I hope you have subscribed to the page. We're trying to get to 36K. Definitely subscribe to the page. Let's get to the next clip. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please make sure, if you're watching from a phone, press 1. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. To like the video, all you have to do is double tap the screen. If you've already subscribed, thank you. If you've already turned on your notification, thank you. If you already hit the like button, thank you. Let's continue. Reaction clip.
DIDDY Combs sex trafficking trial. The prosecution's star witness, Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie
Thank you.
Ventura, is expected to take
Please
the stand
double tap
today.
the screen. Let's
So
get the
far,
likes
the jury
up.
has heard graphic and very disturbing details from a man
Watching
who
from
says
your
he
boat.
was
All
paid to have
right.
sex with
Thank
Cassie
you.
Ventura. He also testified that he witnessed the music mogul assault her on 2 separate occasions. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
So let's go live now to CNN anchor and chief legal analyst Laura Coates right outside that courthouse in New York. Laura, so tell us more about when Ventura will take the stand. That is really such a big focus for today.
She will take the stand any moment now. She is the very next witness up. We are waiting to hear what might be explosive testimony from Cassie Ventura, the linchpin of the prosecution's case. Remember, we were told by the defense yesterday, this is the first time in 6.5 years since the death of the mother of 4 of Sean Diddy Combs' children, Kim Porter, tragically died of pneumonia, and the 2 of them will be in the same room face to face. The defense called it a moment to witness closure. What we will witness, though, is testimony where she will try to bridge the gap over an 11-year period of what the prosecution has described as abuse and violence and coercion and intimidation, all to have her engage in these so-called freak-offs, days-long drug-fueled sex encounters without consent. But just now in the courtroom, I witnessed something truly interesting. They are arguing as we speak with the judge over whether Cassie Ventura's husband can be in the audience. Cassie Ventura has just taken the stand. You're going to watch, and we will see in just a moment. Cassie Ventura, visibly pregnant, due in less than a month or so, confronted face-to-face with Sean Diddy Combs, her boyfriend and lover of more than a decade. The first time they'll be together. Now, they want to make sure that her husband could not be in the courtroom. The defense is saying they may call Mr. Fine, who, remember, is a physical trainer who Diddy hired to actually train Cassie Ventura. Laura, I want to...
Now, Cassie's husband was there yesterday. I think he came after lunch or before they took a lunch break or something like that. But Cassie's husband was in the courtroom yesterday. I guess he wasn't in there today because he might get called to testify later
Let you go because
of what he maybe saw.
Cassie Ventura to the stand, so you got to get back in there. Thank you, Laura. I will be your eyes and ears. We'll be right back. Thanks. I know you will be. All right, and we're joined now by CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Elliot Williams and entertainment attorney and former litigator Lisa Bonner. All right, so Cassie Ventura is about to take the stand. Why is she so crucial to the prosecution's case?
Right, again, and Laura touched on this a little bit. It's important to step back and remember what Sean Combs is charged with here. It's racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation of people. Now, it's far broader than simply these allegations of sexual abuse or physical abuse. Now, what Cassie Ventura, what the prosecution has established with her is not just that the abuse happened, but that it happened for the purpose of threatening, coercing, or forcing people, her and others, into forced sexual activity. And in fact, the video that we saw yesterday allegedly happened immediately before or in the process of one of these quote-unquote freak-offs, suggesting that this beating was to keep her there and coerce her there.
So, Lisa, to bring you in, what do you think the defense strategy will be when cross-examining Ventura? And we should also note, and this seems important, and we've been talking about this, she's pregnant. She's, I believe, several months pregnant. So how will that also play into the cross-examining, do you think, Lisa?
Well, they are going to try to establish that she was a willing participant, that she knowingly engaged into this relationship with Combs. It is no secret in the entertainment industry and the music industry that Cassie Ventura did not have the strongest voice, and she did not have a lot of other options in terms of signing a recording contract. So they're going to say that, listen, you went after Combs. You went and tried to establish a sexual relationship for the benefit of furthering your music career. Now, it is also important to remember that Cassie is visibly pregnant. Her husband, they want her husband in the courtroom to show that she is now moved past that she is in a loving relationship. And that is possible only because that she is now in a consensual and healthy relationship. But one of the things that they're also going
her husband, one, men are mad that Cassie moved on with the trainer. It's a blessing Alex Fine came into Cassie's life. Most men would not be able to take what's being said in court. Her husband, Alex Fine, is a strong man, mind, body, soul, spirit. Most men could not even take what's happening. Most men can't even deal with your ex calling you, talking to you. They literally have to be at a trial talking about an ex and what happened with Cassie. I couldn't imagine what Alex is feeling and what her family's feeling, what Cassie's family's feeling, what Diddy's family's feeling. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
to try to prove is that she was, consenting and that she stayed in this relationship. But one thing I have not heard people talk about is the Stockholm syndrome, where the victims often identify with their abusers, right? So it happens a lot in child abuse cases. So they're going to try and say that she consented. It's important to say, no, what did the defendant do to make her feel like that she could not leave the relationship?
So we're getting more information now coming in from our reporters who were inside the courtroom. They're not allowing, this is a federal trial, so there's no video, audio, live coverage allowed, but we're getting reports from our reporters inside. And under questioning from the prosecution, Cassie Ventura said some arguments between her and Combs would be violent and result in, quote, some sort of physical abuse. What do you make of that?
Well, again, the domestic violence, the defense has owned it. They have set that out, and they're trying to say, listen, we are not here to litigate a domestic violence case. This is turning on consent. In any sexual relationship, consent is explicit. She did not, at what point did she no longer consent to being in this relationship? How did Combs use his influence, his sphere of influence, to manipulate her, to blackmail her into staying? He paid all of her bills. She never put out another record after the first record that he was released. And
press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. Double tap the screen, please, to hit the like. Double tap the screen to hit the like. And thank you. If you've already subscribed, thank you. If you already turned on your notifications, thank you. And if you already hit the like button, thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you. Thank you.
That was a carrot that he continuously dangled in front of her face.
Thank you. Thank you.
And manipulate her into
hello, Texas. Hello, Jamaica.
And that is what the prosecution has to hone in on and really have people to testify to that there was not consent and that he did use people under his employ to facilitate this relationship.
Now we saw. Because there's a commercial. We saw what happened when she tried to leave, right? Let's remember that. Thank you for subscribing, Ken. We saw what happened when she tried to leave. Y'all saw that, right? So there's probably stuff we did not see on video. Let's remember that.
I think bring you in on this point that Combs arrived in court yesterday holding a Bible. He was seen reading passages during opening statements. Why does the defense want the jury to see that?
Oh, absolutely.
Did y'all hear about that? He was holding a Bible, reading a Bible. Excuse me. Aren't you supposed to be taking notes? Okay. And people are talking about how Diddy was looking at people, looking at the jurors, looking at people in the behind him, definitely giving warm looks to his family. Y'all, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Now, the whole process is designed around giving the defendant a fair trial. That's how the judge rules.
Innocent till proven guilty in a court of law.
Doing things to ensure
not my
that
decision.
Their side of the case looks better, and it is in a defendant's interest to be seen reading the Bible. This happens all throughout trials. So, for instance, can the defendant come in wearing a prison jumpsuit? This was something that they debated prior to the trial. Can he have dyed hair? As you notice, some of the courtroom drawings have noticed, his hair is dyed. How does that change how the jury sees him and how they may regard the things he says? There was even a fight or a debate over, can the jury see Cassie Ventura walking into the courtroom because she is 7 or 8 months pregnant right now? How will that affect how the jury regards her testimony? And judges are constantly having to resolve questions like this. Now, nothing precludes a defendant from reading a Bible. There's nothing wrong with it. But certainly it was a deliberate choice, I think it's fair to say, by the defense team to have jurors see this person who's accused of horrific acts reading a Bible.
And I just want to go back to you, Lisa, because and I want to make clear, this idea that the government is pushing the prosecution, that Combs was using his own enterprises and businesses to further the scheme. Those are all allegations from the government. And the defense is saying that's not true. The defense is saying, look, he may have engaged in bad behavior. He may have engaged in domestic abuse. That video is really disturbing from the hotel. But he was not part of this racketeering scheme. He is not a sex trafficker, and he should not be found guilty on that. Do you think that that's a compelling argument for the jury?
Well, what else does the defense have to really offer? The fact that, one, they've already owned the domestic violence, and so that is something that they have already owned. But the other allegations against Combs in terms of the RICO charge, we have R. Kelly, who was convicted just across the river in the Eastern District of New York.
And see, that's what y'all got to realize, too. There's other cases that happened prior to him. Y'all got to remember Hollywood. There's a lot of things that's going on in Hollywood. They had said in 2004, 2005, people will be exposed, and people are getting exposed. Thank you. I love your channel. I appreciate that. Yes, definitely hit the like button. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. And double tap that screen, you guys. Let's get to 100 likes, please. Let's get to 100 likes. If you're watching from a phone or a tablet, just double tap the screen. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone say hello to Paris. Welcome back, Paris. I missed you yesterday and today, but like you said, you've been listening. But I love seeing my Paris. Paris has been with me for the last 8-9 months. Everyone say hello to Paris. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Of very similar RICO charges.
Hello, y'all.
Again, alleging is the fact that he used his businesses to lure people into a recording contract in Cassie Ventura's case, and then basically held that over her head in terms of a carrot, and never released another album after her initial single that was released. And they are alleging again that this was done against her will. The defense really does not have any other alternative except to own this and to say no, that this is a legitimate business. But it's important also to remember that a RICO case does not have to, the criminal enterprise does not have to exist solely.
I'm hearing that she had enough songs to release a lot, but allegedly they kept dangling over her face, over her, and not much was released. And you remember back in the day, there were so many famous girls doing well. Cassie was a gorgeous girl. She could dance. She was gorgeous. She wanted that. She wanted that, you know? So like the video, fair use reaction clip.
For the purposes of a company, it could be a part of the company. And so that is important to remember.
And I'm also hearing, because I listened to the court hearing, he kept her busy and she was thinking that something was going to be released. He kept her busy. And if she wasn't doing what he expected, she would have things removed. Because it's like, okay, you're not doing what I told you to do, so let me remove your tablet. Let me get your phone. Okay, you need to go and do this. You need to create another song. You got to go work out more. There was a controlled environment. You're going to hear more of the controlled environment situations. So that's telling us she was thinking, oh, this might be released months. Oh, this award show is coming up. Maybe this will be released around that time frame. You guys, you got to realize certain people, I can't confirm or deny. I've never been around this man. I don't know this man, but there are men and women. Let's be very clear. My page is a little different. There are men out there that's narcissistic. There are women out there that is narcissistic. And there are people that are out there that are controlling. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They will try and control everything you do, think, and feel. And they'll play the blame game. Make you feel like you did something wrong. It's like, what is wrong with you? People that are helping you, you talking crazy. What is wrong? Are you okay? So, unfortunately, Cassie was in a controlled situation, relationship, environment, and her career was being controlled, period. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
In all of these allegations in terms of RICO, they need to establish that it is a conspiracy, that he used his company, to lure these people. And these are very damning allegations.
Right, and we're just reading some of what's coming in from the courtroom. And at one part, this sort of goes to your point earlier, Lisa. She said, look, I was confused. I loved him. I just wanted to make him happy. I was nervous, all of those feelings. And we don't have the full context around that. But of course, we know prior to that, they were talking about the relationship and the alleged violence that occurred there. All right.
So let's talk about this, you guys. Remember how the allegations came out in regards to the most recent, how he was so much older than the girl he was dating? And then we found out what he was saying to her. I'm trying to be cautious. Y'all know who just was, came out. Cat Williams warned that person. Monique warned that person, and they did not listen. They didn't want to date somebody their age. They wanted to date somebody younger. And then they made it seem like they were dating somebody that was in their 30s. He was 17 years older than her. He was dating her when she was 19. Now, you got to remember, Cassie was signed to somebody else and basically snatched her up and making her feel that she would have a better success with them. Women, be careful who you date. Let's look at the Kanye Kim situation. Be careful who you date and be careful who you have kids by. Let's continue. And do you notice that Kanye wanted someone gorgeous, beautiful? Diddy wanted someone gorgeous, beautiful. Look at the men in the industry. They want the woman that's so gorgeous that other men couldn't even think of having. Look how he grabbed her. Look at how Kanye treats Bianca. Okay? Look at how Kanye treats Bianca. Look at how he treated Kim. Think about what Beyonce's mom just came out and said Beyonce was thinking about whether she would date Jay-Z or date somebody else. Hello? The men in the industry want a woman that the other guys wish they could have, and they'll hold on to that. Think about it. How they talked about Kanye, alleged they're trying to cancel him. How they were trying to cancel Jay-Z, but Jay-Z was like, hold up. I don't know that person. And we talked about the case in regards to Jay-Z, and that case got dismissed. The men in the industry, Hollywood. So we got to realize there's an issue in regards to Hollywood, whether it's music, whether it's movies, even in different things. There's concerns out there, and this is going to make certain people stop what they're doing. Some women are controlling, some men are controlling, some wives are controlling, some husbands are controlling. Everyone needs to be careful and safe. Be in a happy and safe relationship, period. This is going to teach a lot of people. Let's continue.
Lisa Bonner, Elliot Williams, thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's certain situations that they're in a controlled situation too. And then this is the biggest thing. We're going to hear somebody else had almost a similar situation. Probably that's covered. I'm cautious about what I say. But there's still situations where side-eyeing that's happening in the industry. You got some of the famous people that are not speaking up. They're not saying nothing. They don't want to say nothing because they don't know if they're on the tapes. They don't know if they're going to have to take the stand. So a lot of famous people have been very, very quiet. Have y'all noticed that? A lot of famous people have been very, very quiet. Hold on one second. Because they don't know if they were on those tapes.
Cassie in court, reportedly tearing up on the witness stand as she testifies against ex-DIDDY in his sex trafficking trial.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her third child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know. But really, they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors.
DIDDY maintains his innocence against all charges brought against him. Cassie, the prosecution's key witness in the case against the embattled mogul.
The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged freak-offs will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again, making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. So this is only the beginning.
The 38-year-old singer said to get emotional on the stand as the prosecution brought up this disturbing security footage CNN uncovered of DIDDY beating Cassie in a hotel.
Many people.
Now you got to realize also it was being reported from the gentleman that took the stand yesterday. The security guard said that he recorded what happened at that hotel and then he sent it to other people because he thought people wouldn't believe that this really happened. Like the video. We're all